In the beginning, a boy was shown holding his mouth, trying to suppress his voice. The teacher questioned whose voice it was, and someone identified it as his brother. The teacher understood that it was Hoshikawa-san's brother, and the boy stated that it looked like he had come to get the reference book he was using, after which he deeply apologized. The teacher then moved on to the next page. It was an online class. 2 people, a boy and a girl, were attending the online class. During the online class, the teacher instructed them to read aloud the next page. It was made known that the guy was Yoshino-kun. The girl apologized to Yoshino-kun, and Yoshino-kun responded softly. They both were speaking softly. Then the story introduced Hoshikawa Haruka, and the author described her features, such as silky hair, fair skin, big captivating eyes, and what was concealed by a mask outside. Up close, her name was Hoshikawa Haruka, rumored to be from an old prestigious family, the top student in their year, and the class beauty. A flashback was then shown where girls were asking Haruka where she had been confessed to again, and another girl asked how many people it had been that month. Yoshino thought to himself that because of her popularity in high school, he, Yoshino Kanata, had believed she was someone unrelated to him. That was why it felt unbelievable that Hoshikawa Haruka was right next to him. Yoshino wondered why she had touched him. Yoshino then spoke, asking if something had happened to the computer again. Haruka responded that it had been acting strange just a moment earlier, smiling as she said it. Haruka continued by saying that the controls had not been working properly, but they might have been fixed now. Yoshino thought to himself that she might be watching his reaction and wondered if she was enjoying it. He then said that it was good if things were fixed. Yoshino continued thinking that this was troubling, believing that Haruka should not be casually touching somebody's body. He thought that if he were full of worldly desires, he would have acted differently, and he hoped Haruka was grateful that he was a gentleman. Haruka then touched him again, and Yoshino screamed, reacting to her touching his flank. Then Yoshino and Hoshikawa Haruka were shown sitting together. While Yoshino thought that the situation might mean Hoshikawa Haruka was intensely exposing her thighs, Yoshino wondered if he might be misunderstanding and considered that Hoshikawa Haruka might really not be aware of her own state. Yoshino thought that if she continued to expose them like that, a certain thought appeared in his mind. He then realized that this was bad and believed that surely Hoshikawa Haruka would notice. Hoshikawa Haruka asked what was wrong, and Yoshino said that nothing was wrong. Hoshikawa Haruka noticed Yoshino's face was red and asked if he was feeling unwell, and Yoshino said that he was fine. Yoshino then wondered if he should brew some warm tea later, because Hoshikawa Haruka was not good with machines, so she could not make it herself. The scene then shifted, showing the building, and Yoshino mentioned that it was Hoshikawa Haruka's house. 3 days earlier, in April of their second year in high school, they learned that there had been an infected person, so the area had to be disinfected. Yoshino thought that the janitor must have been having a hard time and wondered when they would be able to go. Yoshino and an old man were having a conversation in which the old man explained that they could not enter for the time being. The old man then said that, from that day, it had been decided to close the dormitory. Yoshino reacted in shock, thinking about his belongings still being there. The old man explained that everyone had evacuated back to their hometown just like that. Yoshino questioned how it had happened already, and the old man said that it would be troubling if a mass infection were to occur, and that he had been told to explain that they should go back until the dormitory reopened. Then Yoshino asked if the old man had forgotten about him, and the old man apologized. Yoshino thought that he had never imagined it would turn out like that. While Yoshino had been in the club room, messing around with the computer, everything had changed. Yoshino decided that, for the time being, he would call his mom, but his mom said she was scared of getting infected, so she told him not to come back home. Yoshino then tried reaching out to his friends, but his friends said that his parents had refused and wished him good luck. Yoshino found himself in a tough situation. He considered going to an internet cafe, but the receptionist explained that high school students were only allowed to use the facility until 10 p.m. He then tried karaoke but was rejected again. He thought about going to a hotel, but it was too expensive, and Yoshino only had 20,000 yen. The scene then shifted, showing Yoshino sleeping outside on a bench. He told himself that he would sleep outside and that he would not die just from suffering while sleeping outdoors. It was spring, so it was not that cold. But then Yoshino noticed something. Someone was walking toward him. Yoshino realized that it was Hoshikawa Haruka from his class. Both Yoshino and Hoshikawa Haruka noticed each other. Then nothing was seen, and Yoshino felt as if their eyes had met. Yoshino wondered if it had been a misunderstanding. Hoshikawa Haruka was then shown finding something in a bag. taking out her phone and reaching here and there. Yoshino wondered what Hoshikawa Haruka was doing, while Hoshikawa Haruka thought that she was in trouble because she could not catch any Wi-Fi signal. Yoshino thought to himself that Hoshikawa Haruka was sneaking around like a robot, and it felt as if she was looking toward him. Their eyes met again, and Yoshino confirmed to himself that they had. Yoshino tried to say something, and Hoshikawa Haruka suddenly responded. Yoshino apologized, thinking he must have startled her by speaking suddenly. Hoshikawa Haruka said it had not been sudden and that she had only been surprised. Yoshino acknowledged it, and Hoshikawa Haruka began to ask if Yoshino-kun was Yoshino Kanata from the same year in Class A, mentioning that because he was wearing a mask and it was dark, she had not been able to tell. Yoshino wondered to himself what was with the forced casualness and confirmed that he was that Yoshino. Hoshikawa Haruka reacted to Yoshino-kun, and Yoshino wondered why she looked so happy and whether she had always been like that. Hoshikawa Haruka pointed out that it was already dark and asked why Yoshino was there. Yoshino noticed that she returned to her usual self and explained that he had been thinking of sleeping outside. Hoshikawa Haruka reacted in shock at the idea of sleeping outside. They continued talking, and Yoshino said that he lived in the student dormitory, but Hoshikawa Haruka interrupted, saying that she knew because she had seen him coming outside from the dorm. Yoshino thought to himself that she had him in her sight. Yoshino explained that there had been an infected person there, so the dorm had been closed down, leaving him with nowhere to go. Hoshikawa Haruka asked about his family home, and Yoshino mentioned that they had told him not to come back because they were scared of infection. Hoshikawa Haruka acknowledged it. Yoshino then asked what Hoshikawa Haruka had been doing, and Hoshikawa Haruka explained that she had come to catch a Wi-Fi signal. Yoshino was surprised, and Hoshikawa Haruka said that she had heard they would not be able to attend classes starting next week without Wi-Fi, so she had thought she could catch the signal and bring it home. Yoshino explained that the public Wi-Fi in the park could only be used around that area and asked whether Hoshikawa Haruka had an internet network at home and what she had for Wi-Fi. Hoshikawa Haruka said she did not know. Yoshino thought that Hoshikawa Haruka was smart, and Hoshikawa Haruka thanked him. Yoshino said that he was sure she could understand it on her own, but Hoshikawa Haruka said she could not because she was bad with machines. Hoshikawa Haruka mentioned that Yoshino-kun was in the computer club. Yoshino noted that she knew a lot, and Hoshikawa Haruka asked if it was okay for him to help her. She said she wanted Yoshino-kun, who was knowledgeable about computers, to teach her and asked politely if it was not too much trouble. Yoshino wondered to himself if it was a dream, thinking that the day when that Hoshikawa Haruka would ask him for help had arrived. Yoshino agreed, saying that it was fine if she was fine with him, and thought that doing something useful for Hoshikawa Haruka was far better than sleeping outside alone. Yoshino then remembered that they had talked about Wi-Fi before as well. Hoshikawa then said that she would like Yoshino to make it usable at her home, and mentioned that it would not even take 5 minutes by foot. Yoshino asked about her parents' permission and the time, but Hoshikawa suddenly grabbed him and told him that her house was that way. Yoshino agreed and thought to himself that it felt kind of inappropriate, yet somehow it felt like a date. Yoshino asked if her house was over there, and Hoshikawa confirmed it. It was a big building. Hoshikawa told him to come in, and Yoshino apologized for intruding while thinking that he had been living in a dirty boys' dorm, so he was getting nervous. After they entered Hoshikawa's house, Yoshino thought that everything was amazing and in a state-of-the-art condition. Hoshikawa asked what he was talking about and then removed her mask, showing her face. Yoshino thought that even without the mask, her face was too good-looking, worth 3 million points. He also thought that the interior was amazing and the facilities seemed really convenient. Hoshikawa agreed that it was convenient, but then said it was incredibly inconvenient. Yoshino wondered how it was inconvenient. Hoshikawa explained that the computer was in the room and asked if he could come in and take a look. Yoshino agreed and asked where her family was, mentioning that since it was getting late, he would like to greet them first. Hoshikawa said they were not there, and that she lived alone. Yoshino reacted with surprise, and Hoshikawa explained that she was living away from her family. Yoshino acknowledged it and thought to himself that it meant it was just the two of them. Hoshikawa asked if he was okay and if he wanted to come in. Yoshino assured her that he was fine. Hoshikawa expressed relief and said that it was the bedroom, so it was a bit embarrassing, but she showed it to him. They both entered Hoshikawa's bedroom, and Yoshino thought to himself that it smelled nice. Yoshino then saw the laptop and thought that it was the same laptop loaned from the school as his. He decided that he should finish the task quickly and leave. Yoshino told Hoshikawa Haruka that he would touch it for a bit, and Hoshikawa Haruka thought to herself that she needed to prepare mentally at the word touch. Yoshino mentioned that this was what she had called him for and wondered if there was a screen she did not want him to see left open. Yoshino then told her to go first and touch it, apologizing. Hoshikawa Haruka asked if he had any experience, and Yoshino asked if it was okay for him to go ahead and touch it. Yoshino then proceeded to touch the laptop and began explaining the steps, opening the settings screen, entering the password for the apartment's dedicated Wi-Fi, and opening the browser to confirm the connection. While Yoshino was explaining, Hoshikawa Haruka thought that it was embarrassing. She told herself it was not something to be embarrassed about and that it would only be a problem if she could not redo the setup, but she thought that was not the reason she felt embarrassed. Yoshino finished the setup and said that it was done, and Hoshikawa Haruka noted how fast it had been. Yoshino explained that next time she started it up, it would connect automatically. Suddenly, Hoshikawa Haruka grabbed his hand and told him that he had really helped her, thanking him. Yoshino responded that she was welcome and asked if he could go back now. Hoshikawa Haruka asked where he meant, and Yoshino answered that he meant going back to the park. Hoshikawa Haruka said that it was not good for him to go back because he might get sick and explained that she lived alone. She said that there was a spare room next door and mentioned that it was already getting late. Yoshino then started thinking. Yoshino then agreed and apologized for overstaying his welcome. Hoshikawa Haruka asked why he was trying to leave after all of that. Yoshino wondered if she was offering him a place to stay, but he felt that it would be a problem if he assumed it himself. He thought that if he messed up his response, he might end up being disliked, especially since Hoshikawa Haruka was popular and a perfect beauty. Hoshikawa Haruka suddenly said that she was bad with machines and could not do anything besides Wi-Fi. Yoshino acknowledged it, and she continued, saying that Yoshino-kun was good with machines. Yoshino said he was not particularly strong with them, but Hoshikawa Haruka insisted that he was definitely stronger than she was. She explained that remote classes were starting, and she was worried she would not be able to attend them properly, so that was why implying her reason. Yoshino then asked if she meant it was okay for him to stay there. Hoshikawa Haruka said that if Yoshino-kun wanted to stay, she would be really sorry to ask, but it would help her out a lot if he stayed. She became happy and told him that it was okay and that he could stay. Yoshino asked if it would not be a bother, and she said it was not a bother at all and that she was actually happy about it. Yoshino thought about the word happy, and Hoshikawa Haruka explained that it was because she could learn about machines from him. Yoshino said that if there was anything he could teach her, he would do it as much as she wanted. Hoshikawa Haruka became happy and started laughing, while Yoshino wondered what kind of cute creature she was and could not believe she was the same person as the flawless beauty he had seen in class. He thought that maybe that was why. Hoshikawa Haruka then said that she would continue relying on Yoshino-kun from now on, and Yoshino responded that he would be counting on her too. Yoshino thought that at that moment he did not notice the lie she had said. Haruka remembers something from her childhood. Her family always told her she was bad at lying. They said anyone could tell when she was hiding something just by looking into her eyes. Because of that, she grew afraid. But back in the present, Haruka quietly says, "He didn't notice. Thank God. Thanks to that, I can live with Yoshino-kun from now on. Sorry for lying." The narrator then explains that her finding Yoshino in the park wasn't a coincidence. A flashback shows Haruka checking her phone. She sees that the student dormitory is closed. Yoshino used to live in that dorm. She wonders, did he go back home? I'll feel lonely, but if he's okay, that's enough. But what if he couldn't go home? She starts thinking. Haruka knows she is good with technology, and she's smart. She realizes a high schooler has nowhere to stay overnight, so she figures the only place near the school where someone could spend the night is the park. That thought leads back to the present time. The narrator says that Haruka wasn't actually trying to catch Wi-Fi. She was trying to find Yoshino. Haruka had been smiling behind her mask the whole time, but Yoshino never noticed. Masks are useful for hiding expressions, and pretending to be bad with machines was something she made up on the spot, because she hadn't planned how to approach him. She thinks back to when she acted like this 1 year ago. What should she say? My phone isn't connecting. I just moved here before the entrance ceremony. It's spring break, so no one is around. It's been like this for 30 minutes. For 30 minutes. Then in that memory, she hears herself say, "Excuse me." Yoshino looks at her and asks, "Asking me?" Haruka replies softly, "Yes. Could you help me? My phone isn't connecting to the internet." Yoshino asks to see it. "Could you show it to me?" She hands it over. "Here you go," he says. Then I'll borrow it for a bit. Haruka nods. Ah, yes, yes. He studies the phone. I see. Haruka thinks to herself. That reminds me. It might have been a while since I last relied on someone. Yoshino finishes the setup and returns the phone. I'm done. Haruka is surprised. Already? Yoshino explains. It was just trying to catch some free Wi-Fi, so I think it's fine now. She thanks him. Thank you very much. I just bought this phone, and after moving here, there isn't anyone I know. Yoshino asks, could it be you're planning to grow old here? Haruka answers, yes. Yoshino says, me too. So if you need anything like this again, feel free to ask me. He gives her the phone back. Haruka blushes. In her mind, she admits the truth. She realized she had fallen in love right after she enrolled. It happened when she met him again in the classroom. Something about him felt different from other boys, quiet, calm, gentle, sincere. So cool. Or rather, I like him. But she never knew how to approach him. She's bad at lying. She felt that if she looked into his eyes, he would immediately know she liked him. So she started daydreaming instead, Yoshino's gaze, the feeling of his hand, how he might react to her words and actions. As her feelings grew stronger, her desires started slipping out of control. And today, she even brought him to her apartment. She thinks to herself, he was so cute. If I play more pranks on him, I wonder what kind of reaction he'll make. Haruka's thoughts keep going. I want to rely on Yoshino-kun more. I want to touch him. I keep relying on him because that lets me be closer. But earlier, my heart was pounding. I got flustered thinking he might really touch me. But this isn't the time to be flustered. She reminds herself she has a problem to tackle starting tomorrow, getting closer to Yoshino. Before the state of emergency ends, while they can still stay together in close quarters, it might be the best chance to create a gentle, unspoken bond. But I don't want him to think I'm pushy, or loose, or scary. Then her imagination runs wild. She pictures Yoshino leaning over her, saying, I can't hold back anymore. It's your fault for touching and tempting me. Her mind fills with those images, and quietly, in her heart, she thinks, I want Yoshino-kun to make a move on me. The scene shifts. Yoshino is sitting alone, deep in thought. He tells himself, don't get exposed. I'll do my best to keep them hidden. As he thinks this, an image of Hoshikawa crosses his mind. Living together with Hoshikawa. Meanwhile, on her side, Hoshikawa is thinking something completely different. She wonders to herself, if I sneak into Yoshino-kun's bed, it might still not be a good idea.